Cellist, conductor and seasoned broadcaster Kutlwano Masote launched his debut boon, The Imperfect Harmony, this past Wednesday at Love Books in Melville. The book takes readers and fans alike to his journey as he encounters instruments and choral singing, which is where he found his voice and was shaped by his heritage, and now he's one with melody. Now, our producer Snazo, Notho and video journalist Nkundla, Tsolwana attended the launch and filed this insert for us.
Kutlwano Masote's inspiring journey is a tale of passion, perseverance and artistry. In his new memoir, An Imperfect Harmony, Kutlwano shares the highs and lows of his path, from a young cellist to a renowned conductor, leading orchestras to breathtaking performances. We discover the story behind the music, the challenges faced, and the harmonious soul that drives this extraordinary artist.
It is mostly it is very much 90% an up book, if I can call it that. There's nothing gloomy, otherwise I wouldn't have written it, because I have two sons who are now young adults, 19 and 21, and I want them to know who we are. I speak about where I come from, how I grew up, my heroes, and all of that kind of thing. So it is definitely a book that looks to inspire and to encourage others. I think one of the things that it's a phrase that my wife just said once, step out, step in, and then step up. So it was a little bit of that, and I try to impart that as I write the book to not only my own progeny but other young people, people who think, I could never do that. When people say, how would you describe the book? Well, it's a story about a boy from Soweto who now conducts orchestras. It's really that. And how unlikely is that? Even today, how unlikely is that? And working with my wife for the last 15 years and, kind of taking my creativity, my aspirations and my talent, things that I would do anyway because that's who I am. I'm an artist, and making sure that I get paid for them with her help. She comes from a marketing background. She's great with admin, and so it has grown. And so if I seem balanced, it's thanks to that. Yeah. My love affair with classical music started from the womb, I believe. I was born into this thriving musical environment of symphonic music, choral music. My father was a professional musician and educator, violinist, founder of the Soweto Youth and later the Soweto Symphony Orchestra. My mother, amateur musician. So that's my grandparents on both sides, extremely musical, amateur musicians, cousins and everyone. And I speak about it actually in Imperfect Harmony, the beginning of it, about what a thriving environment, culturally and stimulating environment it was musically that I was born into. So yeah, I've been really, really fortunate to have been able to walk the journey that I have, and meeting and interacting with some really incredible personalities, great musicians globally, people with global stature that have influenced me, that have mentored me, that I've shared stages with and continue to. And I think the radio work also is very special to me because I see it as an extension of my performance. I think, as you say, I'm an advocate for my art form. I use that platform to invite others into this rather strange dialect of music. It's not a completely different language if you just allow yourself. And this is my approach to it, just to be inviting, to tease them with little pearls and just to demonstrate that it's not as far removed as it might seem at first. I don't think it's possible to be anything, political, apolitical, religious, a-religious, without loving music. I think people assume that one has to be a devout believer, certainly in Christianity, because it's the music of God. With classical music, it's the music of the church, because the church spent a lot of resources funding and developing specifically Western classical music, and also how we were speaking about it before, about how it's very difficult to remove colonial aspects in our education, and I think it's woven in. Classical music and religion are interwoven, and I think politics as well. But I think just about every human endeavor in South Africa involves music. You think of cultural ceremony, you think of struggle songs, you think of worship. Gospel music is probably the highest growing music in South Africa still, because religiosity is also growing in South Africa. So I think music is very much a part of South African culture. And yeah, it is surprising that it then gets left behind when we go to the big table of apportioning budget, for example. Arts and culture, when it was a separate department from sport, had by a long way the smallest budget. And again, being clubbed together with sport, I'm not sure if it's helpful at all, especially because we tend to win World Cups in rugby, and football is on the up, cricket is on the up. And so I fear that our voice gets lost, we the creators. But, and I speak about it in the book, that we have found agency as creatives in South Africa, and that pleases me no end. If you think about what happened with funding, relief funding during those hard lockdowns of the pandemic, and how artists stood up and were counted, and I take my hat off to people like Sibongi Limgoma, who are real advocates for all of us, putting their lives literally on the line, going out there when we weren't sure what this virus is going to do to us, by being all over and protesting. So I really do think that artists have agency in this country. I speak also about collapse of institutions that I've been part of, the National Symphony Orchestra, Classic FM, etc. That worries me about how greater civil society, I still bump into people saying, what happened to Classic FM? Why did you guys let it close down? Well, we didn't. We're earning a salary from it. Why and how would we let it close down? So that kind of activism, this would never have happened in Europe.